All right, hello everyone, and welcome. You know where you are. You're in the place where we are real women living real lives. So when we say 4 o'clock, you know that means wow. But anyway, we are Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits, and ladies. We are the Black Coffee. Sometimes our lips drip with honey, and sometimes got a little grits, which means you got sass, class, and all that ass. And we are excited to come to you with another live podcast episode. My name is Debbie Maisha, and I am the Central Energy Alchemist, Shelly.
Hey, I am Shelley A. Carter, cross licensed real estate professional out of New Jersey, helping you find, fund, or even monetize your real estate. Jamika?
Hey everybody, I am Jamika Anderson. I am your mental alchemist, Carmel.
Oh, hello. I'm Carmel Jean Francois. I am your health, wellness, fitness, and nutrition coach. Primarily, I'm a nutrition and fitness coach. I'm working to guide those who have an addiction with food, addiction with sugar. I'm here to assist them in adapting a whole food, plant-based lifestyle in order to regain control over their health and their nutrition. And that was everyone, right? Yay! So, everybody, welcome to our Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits podcast. Today, we are discussing, do women deserve trust, respect, equal pay? It's tough out here for workers as well as entrepreneurs, business women, everybody in between. Women usually get the shorter end of the stick, and for Black women, even more so. Black and Hispanic women, but we're here to talk about Black women. So 2 days ago, March 14th, was All Women's Equal Pay Day, something like that. So, and then we were just seeing reels, and we decided that this would be a really good topic for us to touch upon and discuss. So I'm not going to start the conversation off. I'm going to pass it over to you, Jamika. Where's Jamika? Hello,
You love trying to drop the bombs on me. Well, what I will say is that it's been very interesting. We've been watching, like Carmel said, we've been watching some of the clips. Y'all know how things go around on Instagram, Snapchat, all the social media platforms. And we've been seeing some things come up where men are talking about, men do the hard job, so they deserve to have more pay. And then, of course, even diving a little bit deeper than just men and women on the spectrum of people getting educated, right? Black women are known to be the most uh the highest population to come out with college degrees, to be educated, do all the things, and yet somehow we're still on the bottom of the totem pole. We had Taraji P, who was coming out saying, hey, I need more money. What was the other name? um y'all help me out. Y'all know who I'm
Mika.
talking about, the
Another
comedian.
actress,
Yes.
the comedian.
Monique.
I
You're
cannot.
you're
I
muted,
see her.
Shelley.
Hey,
Was it
Professor
Monique?
Ogilvy. Yes, thank you.
Monique.
Okay.
I'm like, that is not her name. Like, yes. So Monique talking about, when she first stated it, and how, you have all these different people who are trying to combat this idea that you shouldn't speak up. You should just handle it, take things as it comes, and then eventually you'll get to where you need to be. But we see and we hear and we feel, as Black women, we do just as much work. We work just as hard as anyone else. And it's crazy how society is saying, well, just because you do it doesn't mean that you get to be paid at the same rate as Meryl Streep, or, as these men who are working. And of course, we love men. We want y'all to get paid. You should get paid for doing a job that you do. Don't get us twisted. But we just feel like we shouldn't be at the bottom of the totem pole. And I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I ain't got time for it.
I, yeah, I am not here for nothing. And part of the reason this discussion came up, not just for the pay, but also for the professions, right? So there are women. So we're part of the problem. It's I would love to say that we're part of the problem. There are women who won't go to doctors unless they're male doctors. There are women who won't get their taxes done unless it's a male accountant. We had a conversation about women pilots and how there are people who are like, I'm not flying. It's a woman. It's a woman up there. So we are also part of the problem, in that we want women to have equal pay. But then when a woman is like, all right, well, I'll be your service provider, we're like, I don't know about that. I'm not used to you being in this position, right? I'm sure Shelly gets some of that. Like, I don't know about that. I need a man to be my contractor. I need a man to handle this construction project. And so we also bite our own selves in the ass when it comes to that. I'm just saying.
And I can agree
Well,
with you. I think, sorry, I'm gonna say this real quick. I'm gonna give it to you, Carmel. But I
yeah, no
think that
worries.
it's so funny that the way that you're saying it, even though it is not exactly these words, but Black women give and receive a lot of microaggression just based off of where they are in the workplace and how um it impacts based off of the trust and respect, right? That's what we kind of was talking about, trust and respect. You don't trust that she's able to do that job because of what type of job it is, and so you're showing her less respect even though she went through the same training as all those other people. They had to still do the same amount of service hours in order to get the aviation pilot. You know what I'm saying? You still had to go through the same training. The doctor, the male doctor, female doctor, they still had to go through the same schooling. And not once are you asking a male doctor or that particular doctor, what was your GPA? Or how well did you do in these classes? Even as a gynecologist, I gotta say this, Maisha, too, and I have to throw myself under the bus. Even as a gynecologist, a woman, I would expect that she would know a little bit more about a woman's body because she is a woman. But my most loved gynecologist was a man. And then after having that experience, because I started out with women, and after having that experience, I was like, I don't want another female gynecologist. All I want is a man gynecologist, and let's see where it goes from there. So, I too am guilty of of being sexist in that respect.
I've been really seeking out female physicians and female everything, and more consciously. My first female GYN was just happened, like she was in my network, right? But ever since then, I felt Jamaica. So my experience was very different than yours. Now I have a female GYN. And I have a female, and she's not even American, and I love that part. She's not a woman of color, but she's not American, and I'm like, okay, like I can dig that, and I can respect that. My primary care physician, same. My who else was I throwing in there? My dentist is a woman. So I love that all these women, these professional women are around me, and I get to support and respect them in that manner. And the work that I do, I work with contractors, I work with architects, I work with homeowners. And I really feel like a lot of times my invoices get dismissed and ignored because I am a all women and all women business, Black business. And I've said it from the beginning because I was always thinking, why is it so hard for me to collect on my invoices? And that was the only conclusion I came to. None of my other peers were talking about the same, we're saying the same. Here I am, most of my clients are white males in construction and architecture. And that was another thing. And I got to tell you, the respect aspect of it all, right? So I worked with a female architect, and she's the worst person I ever worked for. She was horrific. Meanwhile, but I feel like she has to get that way. Here she is, a woman working in a predominantly male industry. And she was a bombshell. She was the typical American beauty, tall, blonde, striking, but she was horrific. She was a horrific person. And I really do feel it's the industry that made her that way. It's the fact that people probably did not respect her, was not paying her what she knew her worth was, that made her that way. So I see it and I feel it in the business that I do and the work that I've done. And for the past 14 years, I've been this business owner that's been struggling with collecting on invoices. And so every person of color that I can show my respect and use their services, I will do it in a second. In fact, I seek it now. So I'm gonna pass the mic for now. We haven't heard from you yet, Shelley. So I'll chime in a little bit later when I have a little bit more to say.
Okay. Well, this is a tough topic for me because it has been something I've dealt with for all of my life. It has either been, how did she get chosen for that job? She being that Black girl. How did she crack the code? I've not finished to date. I have not finished my BA. I'm 4 classes away from a BA. One day I'll give myself that gift. And I've gone into, you guys know the story, people listening don't. I went into the bank, found where they were having issues. I found the holes. Often the profit is in plugging the holes in the dam. Find out where the water is leaking, stop the bleeding, whichever way you want to word it. I went in, looked at their operations, went and did the research to find out about compliance, found our exemptions, executed change to those exemptions, took our business from 7 million a year to 21 in one cycle. And it was complete disrespect. To date, I still want to understand how the owner of that bank, the president of that bank, how he can hate me the way he does. But I know he hates me because I'm a woman. I'm a Black woman. I, by his standard, am uneducated, although I'm not uneducated, but he was an Esquire and I didn't even have my BA. My presence irked him. I remember my first real estate project. My male tenants would come in and they would ask me, I don't know, one, hey, I want to paint the ceiling black. No, I don't like that idea. You can paint it, it's got to stay white or it's just not going to work out. Next thing I know, he's asking my husband, can you talk to her? Man, I want to just do this. And I remember my husband telling me that he asked, and he's like, listen, if she said no, the answer is no. There's no workaround. I have so much experience, overt, covert, being paid less, having my ideas taken, having credit for my ideas taken. I put myself in a box and we can get to that. But I still, to date, especially working with men, have trust issues when they say, hey, I want to work with you. My response is why? What are you getting out of it? Where's the contract? Oh, and don't ask for a non-compete, a non-disclosure. How dare you? Why would you present me with that? Because I don't trust you not to take my intellectual property, what lives in here that you see the value in, and I don't trust you not to steal it from me. So sign this little piece of paper and we're good. They don't seem to want to do that. Oh, we don't need to do that. You can trust me. But I don't. It's Black men, it's white men, it's Indian men, it's men. And it's a shame, but it's just so consistent. Absolutely consistent. And the fact that, as was said, I have the same education, the same qualifications, you in fact want me to train the young man you hired, yet you don't want to pay me his starting salary, and have never understood how, if I am capable of training him to do the job either next to me or that you would not give me, how by measure, how does he get paid more when I'm the trainer? Never ever been able to understand that. So I have so many thoughts and opinions, and I just don't want to run rampant in this conversation. I just know that I have also seen the benefits of people working together. I don't want to make it seem like I hate every man in the workplace. That's not it. But there are those few, because I'm having 2 different conversations. We've got our peers and then we have the corporate structure. There are some peers who do want to work with you, want to work with and support you. I've found great success with small business. This topic is a big part of why I don't like corporate America, because in my opinion, corporate America has their triangle. The women are often the foundation, and they find it very difficult to let us climb even into the center part of the pyramid. They want to keep us in our place, and they let a select few through for good looks. And we're nobody's trophy. We're here, we solve problems. I watched my mother in essentially one position, but everyone in the C-suite knew who she was. And I was about to say something I shouldn't, but when I tell you that the household name who was handling his invoices, I can tell you where she worked. She worked for Johnson & Johnson. And she's the one who found where they were bleeding money when no one else could solve the problem. And do you think they would even give her a bonus? There was no bonus. It was, how did you figure that out? Could you write that down for us? So she found you millions of dollars, yet you found not even a bonus. It took someone else giving her some recognition to get a small nominal gift. As like I said, I could just go on there. But when I've worked in these small companies, it's okay. We're in this together. What do you think? How do we solve this problem? And I think that for most women in some positions, we want to be heard. We want to be involved. We want our opinions to be respected. So I like the smaller company. I've been recruited, as I'm sure all of us have at some point. The big company is calling you. But when you get in there, you're a drone, you're a number. I'm saying you, this is me talking about me. This is how I have felt. Come in, sit down, shut up, do as you're told, do it when you're told, and take what we give you, because you should be lucky that we've even let you through the door. And my brain won't allow that. So
Right.
I'll stop.
And I think that is interesting because it's like women have, you're good for the particular role that we set out for you as a woman. If you're going to be a nurse, if you're going to be a teacher, if you're going to be, there's this selective roles that is like, that's where you belong and this is where you should stay. And this is the only way that you'll be celebrated is if you're in these roles compliant to what it is that we want. And then when men come into those roles, especially like as a teacher, I remember they had this thing where because there was a lack of male teachers, if they came in, they got $10,000 more just as a starting rate. And so it's kind of like, because it was a female dominant space, you want the rates to stay low because it's female dominant. But then when a man enters into that, it's like, oh, well, he deserves X, Y, and Z because he's so few in that area. But the same is not applied when you have a woman who busts in the industry and becomes, the ad woman, or becomes, the manager. And it's crazy because women of color are often faced with limited opportunities when we talk about advancement and representation and leadership programs and leadership roles within a number of companies and job and spaces. I don't want to just say companies, but just roles in general. When you, just like what you guys said, when you see them in aviation, when you see them in, being a taxi driver, whatever it is, it's like, oh, you exist here? Oh, that's nice. And then, it's kind of like, it's a no. For me, in my experience, like I said, mine was a little different because I started out looking for women in those positions, right? Looking for someone I thought would be of quality. And maybe next time, no lie, and it might seem, it seemed like what it seemed. I'm saying what I'm saying. Maybe I'll look for a Black woman. Maybe I'll get different service, whatever have you. But after you have a physician who was a white male whose only complaint is, or his only answer to your complaints is that you're fat and you need to lose weight, then you don't really want to deal with white males. After you have, white women who are in these spaces and you're saying, these are my issues, and, this is your physician that you've seen. For me personally, I've seen this lady for 2 years. I go into the hospital, she's like, oh, you need to see your primary physician. And I'm like, you are my primary physician. Like, what are you talking about? So yes, those things do rub me the wrong way. And the men that I selected, they were men of color, right? And I'm here to say I'm one of those people that it is about what you know. I'm not just going to say no because you are an other, or you're European or whatever it is. It is the quality of the job that you're doing. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes you have people, especially like what we're talking about now, you have women of color who are amazing at their job, who get the job done, who like Shelly's mother, find things that nobody else can find, who like the woman on what is it, hidden treasures or whatever else, the ladies who worked at
Hidden
NASA,
Figures. I was thinking
Hidden
about
Figures.
that.
Thank you. Who do all these great things, and people, but don't even give them regular service, right? They didn't have restrooms in the areas that they work, or whatever it is. It's just kind of like, at what point is it that we can just get the bare minimum? I mean, get beyond just having the bare minimum. Like, you're giving us nothing, but we're doing the most. And
Well,
so that's where I think there needs to be a lot of transitioning and changing that needs to take place.
so I want to ask a question, and I'll wrap it in a story. When, as a new loan officer, and I took my training so seriously, and I remember having an older female client, and I give her an extraordinary deal. I'm young, I'm new, I'm not focused on the money. I just want to do a good job. And we got into everything, and then I get the phone call, and she goes, "Honey, I feel safer doing business with a man. This is my banking," and just like she's giving me this whole men do it better thing, and it hurt my feelings so much. So I want to just ask you guys, when you're faced with some of these things, how do you even handle the emotions of it? Because I got to tell you, it stuck with me for a really long time. It took me just building up my success record and looking one day and having my manager tell me how many I didn't even know. Like, so you're getting a lot of referrals. You get more referrals than anyone in the office. Keep up the good work. I was so blinded by this one woman telling me I wasn't qualified. I didn't even see when I was doing a good job.
So today I went running with my team, and I was running with this one woman, a woman of color, but she works in banking, and she was on the phone with her potential client. So he doesn't know that she was a woman of color, but he heard her voice. He knew she was a woman, and she's telling him how much whatever service that she's providing costs. And again, she works with the bank, but I think she has autonomy of how much she charges for whatever services that she's providing. And he's like, "Well, why does it cost so much? Can you ask your supervisor?" And she's just kind of like, "It's that much because I said so." But she did pass it on. And sometimes people just need to hear it from another voice, from another, maybe even male voice. So she ended up getting what she wanted, but she had to tell somebody else, "Listen, you got to approve this for me because he's not listening to me and he does not want to pay the price of this service." And he was just like, it wasn't even her supervisor. It was just one of her colleagues was like, "What?" So Shelly, your question is, how do you deal with that? I feel like as women, we almost expect it, and we almost like, I know I do, and oftentimes I dare them. I'm like, go someplace else, you'll be back, because I know there's good work that comes out of my office, and I know that my prices are very, very comparable. What's that word that I'm looking for? You know what I'm talking
Competitive.
about.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I'm like, I know it's a COM word, but I feel like we've kind of grown a thick skin to it. Does it irk us? Of course. But I think it's almost expected. And that makes it sad that people won't respect us in that manner, support us in that manner, because they think, "Oh, look, aw." And that's how I feel like my clients look at me in my business. They're like, "Oh, look at those cute Black girls. Yeah, well, we're not going to pay that invoice. No, but thanks." and it's really a slap in the face. It's offensive, but it's part of the things that we have to deal with, and it's all across the board. It's not just the entrepreneurs or business owners. It's the professions like Jamaica had mentioned, the taxi drivers, the pilot. I got onto the flight from the day of our cruise. I was going home, and I noticed a woman in uniform approach the plane, or where the flight attendants usually hang out, and they invite everybody in onto the aircraft. And I'm like, her uniform doesn't look like theirs, and don't look like the pilot's. Like, who is that person? Come to find out that she was one of the pilots. I was so excited that a woman was flying our plane. I had never seen that before, and never even thought about it, ladies. I had never even thought about it. So until I saw it, that made me so happy. That made me so happy when I get a female cab driver. Or the first thing I think about is their safety, as far as the cab drivers are concerned. But it just pleases me to see that they're doing something that wouldn't typically be regarded as a male profession. My mother tried her hand at being a mail carrier once, and she was the only female mail carrier I had ever seen. I was like, really? You're doing that? They'll let you do that? So that was pretty cool. She didn't last long in that. She didn't like it, and I don't think she was very good at it. She had to be on her feet for long hours. She's like, later for this. So I've seen a lot of these things, and I applaud it and I love it. And I try to support as much as I can, but it's not my support so much. I'm one person, right? A lot of these businesses, these entrepreneurs, and actually brick and mortar businesses, the banks don't even trust them enough to support their endeavors. The banks don't even. And so we get a fraction of what male startup businesses would get. Maisha, you were saying a little bit earlier about what women entrepreneurs make versus all women entrepreneurs in general would make. It's a huge difference. So what was it, like 24,000 versus 140?
Yep, 24,000 for women founders versus 143,000 for all other women. And just real quick, I want to say, Dolly Properties on Instagram said that she goes through that all the time in real estate. Carmel, what you were talking about, like, why are your prices the way they are? I don't know. Let's see. Yeah.
Yes. So just the other day, I sent an invoice. The way I invoice now, I invoice in categories, or I sectionalize what I do. So I send a proposal, and my retainer fee is more than half of the whole cost of the job. I had a client call me and challenge that. He says, why am I paying more than half? The work has not even begun. I said, unfortunately, I told him the truth. I said, unfortunately, the work gets done and people walk away without paying my invoice. So you just have to pay for it. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to get the work done. If you retain my services, we have a proposal, we have a contract. I'm not walking away from this contract, but I've got to make sure that I'm protecting my business as well. So yeah, so Shelly asked this very beautiful question. She walked away, but that's my piece. I don't know if anybody wanted to pick up the mic and take it from there.
Yeah, I was trying to think of situations that I may have been in. I was just thinking as I was walking down the street, so it's applicable to this conversation. If I'm in a mood and you try and asshole me, I'm gonna like see you and raise you, asshole. So I think I've told you all this before, but I was and I was thinking of Hidden Figures, Jamaica, earlier as well, like all the work that those women did, and this idea that, like Carmel was saying, and I think Shelly touched on it too, like you should just be grateful that we let you come sit at this table. You should just be grateful we even gave you a shot, and you want to be paid as much as other people. Like, you're asking for too much now. I have much more to say about that. But I was working for a place, and they hired someone new to oversee everything. That person brought in someone that they knew who was working part-time and making way more than I was. And what I was told to my face was, you need to show me why I need to pay you more And whatever. We're going to be like, sure. I've been here helping this place do what it does. I look around. It is my presence that has helped to keep things afloat. Ask anyone who's been here and they will tell you that. So I quit and I was out because I am not. I know that there's some of us who will fight to sit at a table. That's not me. You got one time to show me that you're not making space for my chair, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be over here building the table with these folks. So I don't. What I guess my response to this idea of, if it's me personally, not, first of all, my response is anger that in some places we make anywhere from 45 cents to 62 cents on a dollar versus white men. That just pisses me off. It's like 1860 to me. But my personal response is, say less. You don't value me. I don't need to stay here. And that's really that's the only response that works for me. I have no desire to prove my worth to people who aren't really actually interested in seeing it, only for them to placate me with some extra little crumbs. Not doing it. That's my response.
And I like that too, because like my thought process and your story backed up my thought process. It's like, where does the opportunity lie? Is the opportunity really in the position, the job that is here, or is the opportunity the person, which is me, and what I add to this community, that what I add to this job? And I kind of can say the same thing. Like, I don't want to say I get angry. It's just like the audacity. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the that's really is. It's like the audacity of you. Okay, let me show you. You know what I'm saying? And so it does, for some of us, it is easier to walk away or to plan the escape, right? Because some people can't just walk away immediately. So it's like, okay, well, honestly, you're only paying me for X, Y, and Z. So let me reduce the amount of things that I do, because I think you're confused in and of the fact that that's not a job. And I take that, and it's crazy, but I took that with me. I had to learn what was my job and what was the details and the descriptors, and what did I have to do and what they hired me for. And then I understood what you were asking for and your request. um I was one of the reasons why the job added in that little star that say in any other additional task as asked, because I was like, your request is not on this job description. I literally printed it out and posted it on the board. And when they came and asked me something that wasn't in my job description, I would look and I say, that's not a part of my job description, so I'm unavailable to do that. Because I knew and I seen that you hired other individuals. You paid them more to do less. You took tasks off of their job description and added it on to mine, but didn't think to reevaluate the pay that you were giving me. And for me, a lot of stuff was because I was the youngest thing in a lot of those rooms at the time. So not only was it being a woman, being Black or colored, but then age on top of it. So in that respect, it was, again, just the audacity of you. Like, I don't have, like what you said, Maisha, I don't got nothing to prove. But I will. Look, what's that F around to find out that you got the right one? So, and that has always been a part of mine. So it's and even like what you were saying, Carmel, that was one of the things that made me pay attention to contracts. Because what is my contract and what is it that is old? And let me tell you, that's why I learned again about fine print. In the fine print, you're going to be paying for arbitration because I'm going to get my money. I am like a old school, I don't really want to say it like that, but the shark loans, I'm one of them. Like, I want my money. I don't care how you got to figure out how you're going to get my money. I want my money and I want it now. And my hours are from 8 to 5. Don't call me after. Like Red on the 5 Heartbeats. My hours are from here to here. But and the thing too is just like what you said too, Carmel, is like, go and find better. There's no way. I know what it is that I provide. It may be difficult for me to sell myself, But all I ask is you give me an opportunity, because I know what it is that I can provide. I know what I offer. I know the quality of service that I provide. And I know that I've been doing this for however long, that I can get it done quicker and better than majority of the people who are in this arena as well. So knowing that about yourself, again, that's where the question comes back up. Is it the job? What opportunity? Where's the opportunity lying? Is it the job itself, or is it me as the individual? So when I'm feeling
Mhm.
like it's me as the individual and I'm renegotiating things, um, that's exactly what it is. And most times, even within the renegotiating, it's really not a negotiating. And negotiation is like, it's more like an ultimatum. Like you either gonna come up a little bit, or I can go struggle somewhere else doing something much better, or easier, or whatever it is. Um, and also, I also see why a lot of women of color, especially those who get into the entrepreneur side of things, why they focus so heavily on word of mouth, because
Mhm.
not only does word and mouth speak for the job that I provide, but it also speaks for the character of the people who are coming to me. And so within that, it allows me to know, well, if this person is vouching for you, um, hopefully these aren't the things that I have to deal with. And if so, like, if so, then just be it at that point. You know what I'm saying? But 9 times out of 10, people want to, once they've had a certain experience with you, they don't want you to be in a down place, and they don't want anybody who they're vouching for to be worse off. You know what I'm saying? Either.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'll jump in because you talk about, I'll pick up on the word of mouth. It's also some of the reasons that we suffer so much in the beginning, because we need proof of concept. We're out here saying, let me just work for you. I'll work for you for less. I'll work for you for free. I'll just let me show, let me prove. We have to work so hard to prove ourselves. And then to go back to Taraji, after we've proven ourselves, we have to prove ourselves again. And that's extraordinarily frustrating, to have built your portfolio, to have demonstrated you've cured the problem, you've done whatever it is that needs to be done. And then after that, when you say, okay, I want the raise, I want the promotion, they're looking at you saying, why do you deserve that? It's baffling. Um, and Carmel, I was off camera, but I was still listening, so I didn't go anywhere. Working in the construction arena has been a lot of proving myself. And I'll go so far as to say publicly and freely, even down to my husband, 15 years together, and I still have to remind him that I built the sum total of 5 houses by myself before I knew he existed. So most homes in America are approximately 2,000 square feet. I developed 10,000 square feet alone with no knowledge. I've gone through the gauntlet. I do everything but electrical, and that's because I don't feel like zapping myself. I can wash your poop off my hands, but if I'm fried, I'm fried. I cannot unfry myself. Talking to men, oh, you don't do it that way. Or the conversation of, you go to Home Depot, I'm looking for a part. Well, what do you need it for? I didn't tell you I needed you to explain to me how to use it, or that I needed your opinion. I told you I need a flange, 3/4 inch, or I needed this, or a reducer, or an expander, or I want the purple sheetrock, not the green. Well, so what are you working on? No, 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 no. Just where's the green board? Even to the language you use, you have to speak to them in a particular way. Carmel will probably agree with this. I know we all do. But if you're not talking to them using the technical knowledge, they simply assume you don't know what you're talking about. And I cannot tell you the number of clerks, men that just happen to be working at Home Depot, who have barely know how to hold a hammer, who have tried to advise me on how to build a thing. Like, if you don't get your unskilled little boy self, so not even trying to be professional. That is how I feel. When I talk to other women, that's how I feel. When I talk to my husband and I say, so let's do this. Oh, you think it's easy, but you've got to do it. I've done it, dear. I'm sorry you've forgotten. I don't do it anymore, but I've done it. I know that what I'm saying makes sense. Try it. They don't even want to try it. I am often the one that designs the kitchens in our renos now. It took me designing the kitchens and telling them they've got it wrong, and then finally, ultimately designing one of the kitchens in my unit. So I designed two units that I had. I designed my kitchens. After seeing my second kitchen, that's Shelly's job. You need a kitchen, you need a chandelier, you need to figure the space out. Mr., tell your wife we've got this problem, tell her to fix it, and just tell us what to do. It's a compliment, but I had to work so hard for it.
This goes back to the trust issue, right? It's the trust and the respect, but it's the trust. It's like, you're a Black woman. You sing, you cook, you take care of babies really well, right? You give good advice. If we need some extra help, we'll call you. But just leave the really smart stuff to the rest of us folks. I don't know that we can trust you with that. You don't really know what you're talking about. You think you do. It's cute. And it's kind of like, to Jamaica's point. So it's funny. This ties into the reel I sent you all with what is her name? Bahia Nello. I don't want to get her name wrong. That I sent you all in the WhatsApp. This Haitian woman who I am now going to stalk all over the place. Yeah, Bahia Bello. This Haitian woman who I'm going to stalk all over the place was talking about women's history, and she's like, when I'm in Haiti, I'm Haitian. When I'm in Nigeria, I'm Nigerian. When I'm in the United States, I'm a Black American. Why? Because I belong everywhere I go. I belong everywhere I go. And so it's to the point now where if there's someone who doesn't understand who they are standing in front of, when they have the audacity to open their mouth to say or to imply that somehow the pay needs to be less or not the same, my immediate assumption is you just don't know who I am. And sad for you. Like you clearly don't know who I am, because I carry the DNA that made you. So what do you think? And so that's really, for me, my response to it. I know that there are others who, they fight against, they rail against the system. And I think there's a place for everyone to do what they do. But I feel like my role is really, going back to your question, Shelley, like, how do you feel? What do you do? Is really empowering Black women to say, we don't need to sit at anyone else's tables. We've been building tables since tables were a thing. People learned how to build tables from us. So why am I going to now go try and sit at yours just because yours seems bigger and it seems like the more prominent table, when I can gather all my women and we're going to be over here building tables, and you're still going to come over to our tables and be like, oh, how'd you do that? Oh, how'd you get that done? And can you show us how to do it over here? Nah. So that's where I am with it. I think we fund our companies, we create our own venture capitalist firms, we support all of those things. And I think I know I'm answering the question, like, how do we combat it? That will, if we were to ask that question, that's my answer to the question, is we build our own tables.
Well, I want to chime in because I watched it was a video, CNBC, the speaker was Joanne Lippman. And forgive me if I look at my notes, but it was a pretty interesting dialogue. They were addressing women in general. I'm sure they're talking about the dynamic of white women, but they didn't say that. They just said women. They said that in this corporate arena, and I hope I can tie this back to what you were saying, Maisha, the women don't ask for the raises. In a survey that they did, we don't speak up if there's a job with, the way she described it, she said if there was a job with 5 qualifications and the woman has 4, and we're missing the one, we don't go speak up. But our counterpart, the male, he has one, and he's like, okay, I got one of those things, pick me. And that we have to step up, and we are disqualifying ourselves. And I do think still that I can't speak for anyone else. I can see myself in that spot where I've disqualified myself from opportunities because I've said whatever lie I was telling myself that day, or whatever other voice that, I am not as good as qualified as whatever. And the thing that when they were addressing the men, it was, they were talking to some men who were saying, so now we work hard to tell the women, hey, go apply for this job, not promising you the job, go apply, go pursue, we see you. Here's why this is important to say. They said it's not that these men are all of a sudden so tuned into the wants and needs of women in these roles. The financial metrics are showing that the numbers go up when women are in leadership roles. When they advance us, the company advances. And I found that to be very interesting and worth doing more research in. So I'll get in so that someone else can say something, because again, it's, do we deserve trust, respect, and equal pay? We know the answer is yes, but we first have to believe that of and for ourselves. So that's how I'm handling it, is looking at my accomplishments and getting rid of any emotion and the anger, because it's so easy to hold on to those feelings, and tuning into the pride and excitement and the joy. And as I've said, even giving my ego a good rub when my OCD makes me retype a document or redesign something. Because as I've said, there's 20 steps, and I'm like, why would I do 20 steps? I can do this in 7. And I go in with no permission, and I just redesign a system. And it's, oh, you can't do that. That's not how it's done. That's how I'm doing it. And then you find out, because we all have a friend who works at the old company, and you find out, girl, they ain't changed a thing since you left. They still do it your way. That's a compliment, because you get all this kickback, and there's so much kickback. I am learning, and boy, have I been slow as a donkey in the field trying to get it out of the rain. But I'm in the barn, I'm dry, and just looking out and enjoying the view, because it's like, we do some really kick-ass stuff. We're wonderful, and we need to give credit to each other, credit to ourselves. We are freaking wonderful. So that I'll stop. Let someone else pick up.
The only thing I want to say, the only real thing I want to say real quick is to Shelley, to your point, and it all makes sense to me. I learned as a little girl the phrase, "A nation can rise no higher than its women." And when you talk about how when we enter places, the numbers shift. When we enter places, things shift. That's a whole conversation about what we as women bring to the table. All right.
Oh, did you want to get in, Carmel, before I go?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Look, I was like, Carmel been waiting. I don't want to take over. No, there were a couple different things that I had wanted to say between what you said, Carmel. I mean, what you said, Maisha and Shelley. One of the pieces, and I'll start here because I'm like, where do I start? One of the pieces was about qualification. And the thing about it is, like what you said, we will cancel ourselves out. I know I've been guilty of it. If I don't have it at all, then I'm not doing it. Whereas, our counterparts, they're so mediocre. I'm sorry, y'all. It is what it is. Sometimes you got some mediocre people, and they just like, I shine and I'm bright. And it's like, dang, I wish I had a little bit more audacity, just like you, just to go for it. And I think after I wrote my book, Life Teachings, it really kind of hit it home for me, because it was one of those things, like, you sit here, you watch mediocre people become successful because they have less fear about failing because they already know they just might fail. They're okay with it. They're comfortable with it. Whereas Black women, me, myself included, it's like you're supposed to live up to excellence. You can't do any wrong. You have to do better than the next person. You have to work 10 times better. And so when we go to apply for certain things, it's like, it's not, can I do the job because I know I can do it, but it's like, how much energy will I have to give in order to make this 10 times better than what it is? Because I can see where it's at, I can see where I can take it. And are people going to work with me while I'm taking myself there? And then of course, that kind of goes back into what you were saying when you're talking about efficiency. I know that I can make this thing more efficient. And me personally, in almost every job that I've been in, at least in almost every job, I've left the company with providing them with steps to be more efficient. I've left them with a systems of operation. I've created manuals before I left to show them that their systems were not as effective as they could be. So I know that I can do it. And so when I go to this next job and I'm trying to apply for it and trying to do all the things, it's like people are like, well, what do you bring to the table? And it's like sometimes I'm stutter, right? Or I shut down because it's like I then, after I leave somewhere, I then forget what the hell I just did. Like, because I'm so focused on getting to the next great thing, I had never gave time to realize that what you did there was amazing. And because there wasn't the right people around me to celebrate, because you had the people who were so upset that you were doing so well and you did it with ease, that all you received was hate and toxicity within that environment, that you're just like, I just need a moment to gather myself to move forward. So you never really think about all that you put into something, to even appreciate yourself and to evaluate and value yourself as you're moving forward. And then like Maisha, when she was talking about the tables, right? I'm not gonna tell you how I can be great to your table. I'm just going to go to this next table and fix it up because I know that I'm amazing. Sometimes it's this idea that, and I don't know if y'all feel it this way, but for me, it's this idea that when there's seclusion, people want, or let's do it this way, a lot of people want to seclude you from what they're able to get and to receive until you go and you create something different, where then they feel secluded and now they want to impede and be included on the situation. And I think that has happened a lot, especially when you talk about people of color and women of color, when we're trying to advance as a people. um we're doing great things, and you have these individuals that come over and they're like, oh well, can you show us, or how did you do this, or how did you make that happen, or oh, it could never be done. That's what you're hear all the time. It can never be done, it can't be done that way. And once you do it and you succeed at it, it's like, how did you pull it off? And now we want to know all the steps, and now we want to include you on what we have going on so we can see you at work, so we can manipulate and copy all the things that you've done and try to get ourselves to the next level. And then again, turn around and seclude you out of what we have building. You know what I'm saying? And I think that we see that a lot. But I digress. I'm gonna throw it over to y'all.
Another thing, and I'm hearing you, right, Jamaica, and what about the women who don't even know how great they are? They don't even know, like, by comparison, for a long time, I just did my thing. I didn't know what other companies were doing. I didn't know what other people in my field were doing. I was just, until somebody came back and said, you're amazing. Like, you know how many other people I hired to do this and they couldn't even get it done? And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh. And now I'm, unfortunately, so I'm seeing my value, my worth, my potential based on the feedback that I'm getting from others. But then again, many companies do that, right? They ask for feedback. Well, I was in a position where I was not asking for it. People were giving it to me. And then once I see my value, my worth, then I can move accordingly. But what about those women who don't even realize that they are setting the trends in their company, and they are making up the forms and whatever it is that will last years in their companies that they don't even realize that they're doing at the time. But I wanted to bring in another aspect to this. Could it be, or what do you ladies feel about the fact that because we're women, they think and women maybe seeking positions or companies to hire us? Why would I invest all that time in Jamaica? Why would I invest all this time in Maisha if she's just going to go ahead and get married and have kids and leave us high and dry? And but they're going to get married anyway, and the male, their husbands, will be the main breadwinner. Like, they don't need a salary. We're doing them a favor by giving them a salary because they're going to get married, and their husbands will be the breadwinner. They're going to leave anyway. They're going to take maternity leave. We can't count on that. There's going to be sick days, kids with runny noses. And now they become not, how do you call that? Now we can't count on them, right? So what do you ladies feel about that? Because I feel like that's a big part of it with employers. I feel like that's a big part of it. So who wants to grab the mic with that?
I feel like it's BS. How about that? I feel like it's a whole lot of horse manure, and they need to go and put that on somebody else's property and grow some flowers there. Because at the same time, you're saying this, but then statistically, at the same time, we see that these are the same women who are struggling. These are the same women whose husbands who accept men who make less than them. These are the same women who deal with all the things and are trying to build community and are leaving their children to come and work and do all the things. And you're paying them less than so that they have to struggle to take care of their family. You know what I'm saying? Why is it that these same women, if you're the job itself should, if it's going to have a cap or whatever it is, it should have a cap, and there should be, and even though I know people will try to say, well, it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have merit raises, you have this, you have that, but people know people are manipulative and all of that stuff. But don't sit up here and worry about me going on maternity leave or whatever else, because at the end of the day, you have some women, most Black women, who work all the way up until the absolute last day. The doctor can put them on bed rest. They got the computer in their bed with them in the hospital having the baby, doing all the things. So she should actually be getting paid more because she's doing 10 jobs all at one time. She creating a whole nother human in her body, still getting your work done, stressing herself all the way out. Y'all gotta excuse me because I be running over cuss words in my head because I'm trying to be so nice right now. But it's just a whole lot of BS at the end of the day, because they still get it done regardless of all of those other things. And I think anytime that you want to have an excuse, you'll find it. You know what I'm saying? And so none of that really matters, because if you are treating, even with companies these days who are always trying to say, oh, well, we want it to be family oriented and we want it to be da 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 da, and they have some of the most toxic environments, stressful environments. But you're saying all these things, but you're not taking care of the people who take care of your company at the end of the day. You're not supportive to those who are doing the most work. You're paying people only for you to turn around. You're paying people higher percentages only to turn around and ask someone else who makes less than them and do 10 times as much work to do their work as well, to cover their behinds because they've gone out to do other things. So it's like, at the same time, well, why don't you take a little deduction from him when he go play golf out on a thing? Or why don't you take a deduction from him when you see that he hasn't completed his job and somebody else had to pick up the slack? And why aren't they allowed to get a percentage of that person's job, since they did a percentage of that person's work? Like, let's if we're going to talk about being fair, let's make it fair all the way around, because it's a lot of BS at the end of the day. I'm gonna digress, but be effing for real.
I'll be. Oh, go ahead.
No, Debbie, Maisha, I've spoken already. Go ahead.
So what's interesting is I used to be someone who thought along those lines as a woman, that, okay, when I was married and I was like stay-at-home mom, it's like, well, he needs to make more because he's taking care of the family, and it's okay if I don't make a lot because I'm over here with the with the kids. And so I as a woman, I had some of those thoughts, and they made a lot of sense to me at the time. And then there is those are a lot of assumptions to be made in reality. The assumption is that a woman is going to get married. The assumption is that she is going to have children. A lot of assumptions made about women, by the way. The assumption is that she's going to be the one that goes home and takes care of the child when the child is sick, and that she's not going to be able to be there. And of course, and then there's our time of the month, and she's going to take all these days off. And there's this idea of what's going to happen. So I'm going to speak about Black women because I'm a Black woman, and that's what I know. Those of us on the Western side of the hemisphere don't know what it is to take a day off because we have a headache and because we have our period. And that's not our story. Our story is that you got up and you worked from sun up to sundown. That's the story that we have seen play out with our grandmothers and our aunts, whether it was in the field, in the factory, at the corporate office, with your family. We got up and we handled things until the sun went down. So I don't know who they're referencing with a lot of that stuff, but I don't think that it is us. Now in this world in 2024, women are choosing to get married or not. They're choosing to have children or not. Sometimes they are not the ones to go home and take care of a child. Sometimes they have a nanny. Sometimes there's a grandmother, an aunt. Of course, obviously, if they're married, there's a husband, or wife, whatever it is you're doing, whatever is floating your boat this year. If this woman has gone through the same process as a man, same education, same training, same all of that, to say, well, you might take extra time off, I need to pay you a little less. Now that's ridiculous. And so looking at it from that lens, coming from someone who was like the mom and all that, and the wife, and then really looking at the landscape of the world, to tell me if I'm 27, unmarried, childless, to say, well, I can't pay you as much because you might leave, is a little ridiculous. First off, if you pay me enough, then I'll have somebody taking care of my child anyway. So what do you like? You're already don't assume for me. So I'm with Jamaica on that. That's complete BS at this point.
And you know what you said that caught me too is you might take the extra time off. Wait, what extra time off? Because I thought we already had a schedule of 9 days off a year, or so much PTO before you get chastised for it, or you have to have FEMA, what is FMLA, or you have to have short-term disability. So what is this excess time off that you're referring to? Because in the grand scheme of things, we can take the same amount of time off as he takes.
That's right.
And so that doesn't equate. And when you're talking about it too, when you're like, oh, well, the headaches, the periods, the sick days, the children's sick days, but did the job get done?
It did.
With all the things that was going on with that woman, did the job get done? And so again, why am I not accommodated for making sure that it gets done? Because I've seen men with way less going on in their life. And I'm not here to bash men again, but if we're talking about what is happening and what the stigmas or whatever else, I've seen the other individuals who don't complete the task, and then you come over here to Miss Mary, and Miss Mary, can you quickly type this up for me, or could you figure out how to get this done because we only got so many hours left? And so how can you let that person again get away with not doing, not showing up? And this is in the let me tell y'all, look, so let me tell y'all some business. My auntie works for the city hall, and at the city hall they have these people It's a black employee, black male, who gets the job done every time. He takes care of cleaning the city hall business. They clean the police stations, all this other stuff. As facility managers, right? But somehow they got several businesses as people of color that they got to go clean these buildings for. This one European American has one place that he's supposed to be doing, and the same amount of time, the same 7 to 8 hours, you got one location. They got 3 to 4, and you pretend to be sick. Don't do it. They have to come clean up your area. They clean it up so well that for the next week or two, you don't do nothing. So you're not even working for real. You just really sitting on the clock getting some dollars. And that's okay. And the people who are higher up, they know that it happens and they still don't do nothing about it. But it's okay for him to get paid almost twice as much as they get paid, both male and female of color, almost twice as much as they get paid to do less than them. And so for me, it's a issue. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's an issue all the way around, which is why for me it's like, pay me by, sometimes I'm seriously, pay me by the job that I do. Pay me by the task that I get completed. Don't even ask me how much time it's going to take, because like Carmel, I'm so great in this particular area. It's taken me 10 years, or like what you was talking about, Shelly. I've done so many projects. It's taken me 5, 6, 7, 8 years to get this down pat to where I have it down to a science. Well, what it took you to do 30 steps, I only need to do it in 7, because I'm that proficient. Why am I getting paid hourly for something that I could do and probably in 1 hour? And you're trying to say, oh, well, like what Carmel was saying, I've hired all these people, nobody could get it done. And I come in, I get it done quickly. Pay me for the task, because I may not need all that time that everybody else needs. And you stand up here saying, well, we should only pay you because it only took you this much time. No, but it took a lot more time to get it down to a science for it to be done correctly. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
I don't know.
And
That's my little thing. Let me back
oh
down.
no, that I was sitting on something and everything always flows as it should, because I was about to say what I'm going to say. I cannot tell you guys the number of times that I've either been on let me prove myself, and or I'm just giving you a good deal for whatever reason, and then you go in, you do your work, you do someone else's work, you do a good job, whichever the way the scenario goes. But this, when we go back to my no t-shirt, no. Are you available to go cover that? No. Because I've done jobs for people, bid below, charge less, whatever it is. In some cases, just made myself available because I supposedly needed experience. And that was the worst, trying to do favors for people. You think you're helping, you find out that you're not. But in all of these cases, you find yourself being disrespected. When they come back, you say, no, I'm not available. No, I can't do that. No, that's not my job description. No, that's yesterday's price is not today's price. All of it. No, that is how I navigate through that. And what you're talking about, Jamika, is something that not too far from a concern that I'm dealing with now. And from a property management point of view is, hey, I've got my building, I've got the other building. That person over there is constantly on vacation. I am not available to cover their building. If they're going to go on vacation every 4 weeks and I haven't been on vacation at all, you need to find someone, because you want me to cover their building, cover my building, do my construction projects, and you want everything all done in 24 hours when it's 72 hours worth of work. So not all money is good money. And I think it needs to be said, sometimes we need to turn these opportunities down, because they're not opportunities if they're causing us stress, anxiety, pain, depression, or causing us to lose money.
You know, a lot of this ties into our talk about being nice versus kind,
Mm.
because there's an assumption that as women we should be nice. And so almost any opportunity, anything that comes our way, again back to the gratitude, we should be grateful, we should take it, and we shouldn't be worried about all those other little details or the other stuff. Um, so when we come to a situation with the full knowledge, not just of what we're worth, because I mean, so maybe that's subjective. Let's be nice and say maybe that's subjective. I think I'm worth this. Okay. But we come with our education, our expertise, and our and systems and processes and ways of doing things. When we come with proven methods, when we know what we are talking about, and yet and still when we say the price is the price, and especially for Black women, we have to deal with this, right? Because our counterparts aren't automatically seen as mean, aggressive, angry. We can be as calm as the ocean on a very sunny day and simply state, that's not going to work for me. And it's a little bit too much there. Why are you being so aggressive? I don't understand why you don't just take this. I'm offering you, I'm giving something to you. And that's a piece of something that we have to deal with, that our other counterparts don't have to deal with. That even when we are asking, and I use that word loosely because I am not a fan, like there's nothing we need to be asking for. And I've told people that I've worked with, employees that I've had, I said, listen, as much as you need this job needs you. Okay, I don't want you to come to work thinking that you owe something here. You've made an agreement. It's a partnership. So there's a responsibility that you have, and there's a responsibility your employer has. Y'all are working together. This funds your lifestyle, and you have agreed to give your time, talent, and effort to whatever organization you're working for. So understand, this is a partnership. So even when we come and ask, for more because of the time we've put in, the talent that we have, the expertise, we almost still in this system, almost it's like you still have to come across apologetic for it. And that's not something that I can I could not agree to at all, hence the quit. uh because even when we come again straightforward, there's still this little extra that we're dealing with. And again, that's something that I think other women don't have to deal with that the same way that we do. And that's whether you're working in corporate or you're an entrepreneur, right? And that goes back to that kind versus nice. This is not about being nice. This is business. This is business. And I can be a woman and be feminine and show up, and you're still going to pay me for my time and my talent, just like you would anybody else. I'm not going to ask you for it. I'm going to let you know, and you'll let me know. And we'll either agree to be in a partnership like anything else, or we won't.
Well, I'll chime in. We'll agree to be in a partnership or we won't. And there's the times when we are talking to, I'll say them, we're talking to the men, we're talking to our counterparts. And I will tell you, I've had so many conversations trying to put a fire out, solve a problem, and you offer a presentation and been met with what I call, the bluster. You want me to accept that? You think that's a good idea? Would you do that? So yes, I want you to accept that. Yes, I would do that. Yes, if I've, you guys know I'm doing the construction. When I'm talking to other men in construction and I propose solutions, yes, I want you to stand up and do what you said you were going to do. Yes, I expect you to look at your invoice and your service offering and our terms and conditions and our agreement, and I expect you to complete the job you were hired for. There's so many times and I know it's not just this industry, when we're talking about the workplace, but it's just men and women, unfortunately, across the board. Our invoices come in higher. Our bids change. Oh, I know we said it was going to cost 1,000, but what had happened was, or when I open the hood, or when I look behind the wall, or I need, it's an extra mile further than I thought, or you live high on a higher floor, so I have to charge you a different floor. No matter where it is, these conversations have to stop. We need to stand up. We need to honor our agreements. We as women, in my opinion, we need to demand more, and that's in and out of the workplace. And we need to demand the respect. We deserve it. We demand it. We need to command it for ourselves. The more we command it, this transition is clearly so hard for them, and it's taking so long, but they're going to get there. But what I do know is if you want to get paid, I suggest you do your job. You guys don't know in YouTube land, but I had a couch done. I did not like the way the couch was done. He sure was here taking it back today, asking me what he needed. I owe him money. He's not getting his money until I get the service that I paid for. We have to demand the highest level of service, and we cannot be afraid. We need to demand the pay, because the reason I brought up, even with my work, people pay us less than we deserve. We honor our commitments and deliver because we said we would, and then they try to come back for another dose. That's got to be a no. You got me. You got me. You won't get me again. So I'll back off.
Real quick, I just want to say, and Hey Mary came on Instagram. For some reason, the page won't let me comment, but she said, I had a male boss tell me my spreadsheet with a full sales analysis tell her that her proposal was emotionally based, not facts. He was adamant that his personal opinion was more valuable than facts. So there you go. I just want to state
logic.
I just want to state these statistics for folks. So this is based on this is nationalpartnership.org. This is from 2023. The wage gap in the 25 states with the largest number of Black women working full-time year-round. And I'll just name the states that we are all in. So in Florida, Black women on average make 56 cents per every dollar that a white man makes. In New York, it's 60. In New Jersey, where'd New Jersey go? Oh, Virginia, where Dr. J is at. We miss you, Dr. J. In Virginia, it's 56 cents. And in New Jersey, it's 52 cents. So, and we know how we work. We know the amount of work we put in. We've spoken to other Black women. We've watched the Black women in our lives. We've had conversations with them. We know how much we go above and beyond the extra that we put in, partly because it's our nature to do so as women, our nature to do so as Black women. We've been taught we have to work 2 and 3 times as hard. So we bring that to the table. We don't come to work to slack because we know we absolutely cannot. We cannot be caught with our head on the desk for a moment to take a 5-second break. Our eyes have to be glued to the screens and what we're doing. And yet, and still with all of that, almost half or less, nearly half or less. And that's with the education. They can have less education and still make more. Right. The studies have been done. The statistics have been shown. Even for Black men, same thing. A white man with a high school diploma, the median income versus Black men with a college degree. It's craziness.
And what I want to leave with some of the people who are tuning in, of course. Yeah, look, I'm gonna talk to some of the people who are getting into the workforce, right? I definitely, and some of you who have already been in it, this may work too, is that I just want to leave you with a couple of questions to toss around for yourself ultimately. So one of the questions that I would say, so I got like 7, right? What are the company's diversity and inclusion initiatives? We are seeing that diversity and inclusion is kind of going down the toilet. If you look around, different places are pulling out of it. You want to keep some of this in mind as you're applying to different career choices, as you're getting out here and trying to apply to different jobs. Look and see, is there a pay transparency? See if they have equitable composition practices. Some of them say it on their site. Got Glassdoor, you got Indeed, you got, all these different websites these days that are telling you what the low and medium pay are. You have people who are posting on there telling you about their experiences. I would say go check it out, read through some of those things so that while you're applying, you know what the job entails and you know how much people are getting paid, and seek some of the women who are in those fields. Are there opportunities for mentorship or career development in these companies? Because if they really want you to move forward or move ahead, they'll have some opportunities that will foster that type of relationship with the people that are in their companies. Because we know, just as easy as there are some companies who just want to hire within, there'll be some companies who will pull somebody else brand new, like what Shelly was saying before. Hey, train this person. Well, why am I training them when you could just hire me for this new position since it's open up and you know my work ethic, you trust me enough to train them? Like, you know what I'm saying? Let me do this. Another question that I was thinking about, like, how does the company address workplace biases and discrimination? Do you see that? Do they have practices in place at the end of the day? Do they have those practices in place? Do you see that being wrote about again on those sites when you're doing your research? And then what representation of women of color do you see in their leadership program? Because that's a fine indicator to let us know if they are they first off, are there even women in the leadership program? You can go to some websites and you see man, 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 man. You don't see nobody of color. You know what I'm saying? And or you'll see just this one, one woman, this one off. And sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's difficult to even work with some of those women because they feel like they put their blood, sweat, and tears just to get into that position, and nobody else is gonna come get them. You're not coming from me. So you have to understand the dynamics within. Does the company offer a work-life balance policy? Like whatever else, like how many sick days do you get? Do they offer like what we were talking about before? What's your vacation times? How does PTO work if you have it? If do they flex? Like these are all questions to consider when you get ready to apply for a job before you go into that room to negotiate. Because there's y'all, I got this one. I ain't gonna lie, tell y'all a little bit about my business. I got this thing coming up next month where they're teaching us how to negotiate when it's time to get those contracts. And I think that it's a benefit. And it's a company that has some Black women. Don't ask me the name. I would tell y'all, shout it out, but I don't remember that. I can't even lie to y'all. I just went to I just attended the intro. So, and everything don't start until April. So I'll let y'all know how it goes. But get into some places that have personal development opportunities that's going to allow you to grow in terms of your resume building and the skills that goes into negotiating contracts. And then how does the company support their employees' mental health and their well-being? I think that that's vital, especially in the time that we're in where everyone's dealing with a little bit of mental health. Do they offer those type of opportunities? Do they offer insurance that goes towards that? How do they help manage it? Because y'all know half of these, almost half of these companies is toxic as I don't know what, all get out. So are they going to assist in those practices? And for me, what I'll say to wrap up everything for me, I think that empowerment comes through knowledge, right? And not only knowledge, it comes through action too. And so by us addressing these issues of trust, respect, equality of pay, job selection, as we just talk about all these different things, we create a more inclusive and equitable workplace as well. And I think the conversation just has to be had, and women have to join in. Not only just women, but women of color have to speak up and have to value themselves and learn how to employ that. Like I said, again, going for me personally, going into this course and learning how to negotiate a true contract for myself and speak up for myself and knowing my own value, because I know I work 10 times harder than most people. I know what I bring. I know some of what I bring to the table. And like what Carmel said, sometimes you need other people to see it, to tell you what they see. I guess is the best way I'm trying to say it. Sometimes it takes other people seeing you work and seeing what you've done, and for them to explain, like, hey, don't you remember X, Y, Z? This is why I love my community so much, is because they help me to see the greatness that I put a dimmer on, because I'm always looking for the next thing. So I just want to say that. And then I'm going to turn it over to y'all, however y'all want to do any last comments, concerns.
I think this was a great conversation, and I feel like we touched on all the points, right? I was thinking about this movie that was way ahead of its time. It wasn't about Black women, but it was about women. 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton. Does anybody remember that? Way ahead of its time. And they dealt with all of these issues back then. They stumbled upon the opportunity and ran with it. And it was so empowering. And I feel like if nobody's seen that movie, just take a look at it, simply because like they touched on all of these points that you were just speaking about, Jamika: the biases, the discrimination, the representation, the work-life balance, the mental health issues, and even making sure that moms had some place where, oh, sorry about the noise, if there's noise, it's chilly in my apartment, so I have the heat on. And moms there was like a daycare for the children. They thought of everything, and even the big heads of the companies came to see what is all of this, and why has there been such an influx of productivity and income, which is what we were talking about before. You take care of us. You make sure that we're okay. We will show up. We will give our best, because that's all we know how to do. So talking about this just made me remember that, because that's one of my favorite movies. And again, that was done in 1980, and talking about all the things that we're still talking about. And that's another thing, we're still talking about it, right? And especially as Black women, it's time for us to get what we deserve and go after it. So that's my final word on that.
Okay. Well, thank you, Carmel. And for me, my recap is an A and a B. Grab a pen and a paper and a lovely notebook. That's A, and B, write it down. You say they go together, but no, not just the goals and your wants and needs. Record your accomplishments. Go back, read them often, remember them. Jamika talked about moving on and not even remembering what it is you did. But you did that. You can do that. That is a part of your value. And you need to recognize it so that when no one else is giving you the accolades, that you have documentation to give yourself the credit that is due. And then when it's time for you to move forward, you can do that. And then not everything is always about moving forward. In relationships, in the workplace, with vendors, or even in life, there's a real value in opening up that notebook and saying, no, I took notes. I know you asked me to do this, but I did this. I did my work and I did hers. I did my work and I did his. I know you so-and-so was supposed to be out for 2 weeks. They were out for 3. I covered that. So I got my desk work done. I got that person's work done. I told a client I was going to do a project in 3 weeks. I got it done in 2. All of the things that we do that are exceptional, we deserve a little section in our notebook to record our accolades and accomplishments. If we get a good review, we should take notes on that. Having these records will serve us. And I believe a lot of us don't do enough personal record keeping. We go, oh, well, it's not important. Yes, it is. Whether it's for your mindset or your advancement, it's important to keep those records. And that's a little bit of advice that I hope someone, the right person, will take, because so many of us have had to use those notes. And it is really wonderful to be in a conversation with a person of authority. And when they see you have notes, they respond to you differently. It just, your confidence is there because you're not trying to remember. You are looking at the facts and the notes as they were, and that is going to make you strong in your presentation and hopefully help you go to the next place, whatever it is. So yeah, that's just my thing that I see in this conversation that has been very valuable, especially when we're talking about demanding equal pay, because people are quick to say, well, you didn't do as much. Well, actually, according to my notes, not only did I do as much, I did more. Let's review. My job description, Jamika said, my job description said I'm responsible for A, but my production has me at D. My review, you say you don't give anybody a 5, but I've earned a 6. So I don't accept that review of a 4. I want the max. I've earned greater than the max. So you at minimum owe me the max. That is what we need to do to at least get the minimum as it is in the structure, get everything that's owed to us on the table. But first and foremost, we got to start just celebrating ourselves more. And that's my final word.
I think it's important that we understand the difference between confidence and arrogance. I think so many of us are afraid of being arrogant that we don't step into being confident. I think as Black women, we need to get rid of the idea of being humble, because it holds us back and it doesn't have us do exactly what Shelley said, which is celebrate what we've done, because we haven't done enough yet to celebrate what we've done before. So we can't even come in with the accomplishments. And I think we need to stop that too. We've accomplished what we've accomplished, and it is okay to celebrate that and to say, yes, this is what I did. This is what I created. It seems acceptable for those of us who have had children to do it with children. We do it all the time. Mothers always screaming about how they made a baby. I gave you life. I could take you out and all whatever this foolishness that we say. Same thing applies to your work, to your business, to your livelihood. You created something. Own it. You fixed something. Own it. Write it down. Keep that record of it and be confident in what you've done. So I think those are the things that will assist us in moving forward, as Jamika said, going into the negotiating. And remember that it is a partnership. We have a lot of fear still in us as women in terms, as far as getting ahead and wanting to close all kinds of wage gaps and things of that nature, that will almost take what we can get, thinking it will help lift us up to some next level, and find ourselves in a cycle of constantly just taking what we can get. It's a partnership. You're agreeing to work with a company and they're agreeing to compensate you properly for your time. You can't get back your time. So negotiate smartly. I'm done. Jamika, did you want to leave closing thoughts, or did you already do that?
Yeah, it seems like we're done.
I already went, girl. I started it off.
Yes, you sure did. Yeah. And just real quick, Maisha, to your point, I was like that for a long time. I have a business and I'm like, my job. And like, it was nothing that I celebrated. I didn't.
Girl,
celebrate.
We get on you all the time. Like, you built a whole business.
Right. But I'm even talking about before I met you. Like, I never even told people I owned a business. And I didn't even realize the power. I'm like, okay, I did the thing. I did the thing. I didn't even realize what I did. I didn't. And I was employing other women of color. I didn't know what I did. And it wasn't even to say that I was trying not to be arrogant or boastful. I didn't know what I did. So I want people to wake up, know what you're doing, know your value, know that, what you touch is gold.
Mm-hmm.
And just knowing that and celebrating it. And it took me a long time to celebrate it. And so, yeah, so thank you for that. Yeah.
And we get to be unique in this. I told you guys I'm in a room on Clubhouse and I'm listening to people talk about what they do. And I'm saying, oh yeah, but I haven't done that and I haven't done that. And I'm feeling like such a neophyte, freshman in college, first week on campus. And they're saying, well, what about this and what about that? And they're asking me questions. And I'm saying, well, I haven't done that. I've done this. And he pulls it out and I'm telling him, well, this is what I've done. And that's what I've done. And this is how much of it I've done. And I was ordered in that room. Like, don't you ever do that again. You're not new. You don't do what we do, but what you do is valuable. We don't do what you do. We can't even, and I needed that. And this is from because when people who are in leadership positions, and I'm glad we went this direction, Carmel, thank you. When you're in a position of leadership, when you're someone who is experienced, can we not forget to tell the people behind us to also share accomplishments and accolades with those who deserve it, to help them see themselves? The way we talk to each other and say, hey girl, you better cut that out. When you see a young woman of color, or just another person who is deserving, you can do someone a great justice. It is so kind and impactful just to tell someone, you're doing a really good job. You did a good job, or I see you. It impacts some people in a way that many people have reported it's changed their lives. I was here, I was feeling this way, and someone said they saw me and I was feeling rejected or down for whatever reason. And that gave me the fuel, the energy to lift up. So I thought I was finished, but I'll finish by saying, let's remember not to be selfish when we have a little extra energy to give. For me.
You did a good job, girl. You did a good job.
We
We did a good job. I know. We miss you, Dr. Jamesia. We did a good job today. All right, she's gonna watch the replay. All right, y'all. So listen, we have a brunch coming up May 5th. It is going to be in Weehawken, New Jersey. We have the spot secured. So if you would like to go ahead and grab your ticket to the brunch, you want to are they heading over to Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits? Okay, you want to head over to blackcoffeehoneyandgrits.com and you want to go ahead and secure your seat. We have a limited amount of spaces for the brunch. You do not want to miss out. Our brunches sell out every single time. Swag bags are included. Conversation, impeccable. The food is always amazing. We pick some good spots, y'all. So you can find out more by visiting us on social media at Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits everywhere, and also by going to our website, blackcoffeehoneyandgrits.com, to secure your seat. The conversation is geared around women, but men, we love you. The cream to our coffee. You are welcome to join us for our brunches too.
100%.
Ladies, is there anything else you want to add?
It's an experience. Join us. We would love to break bread with you in person. So yeah.
Come,
love.
Bring your questions, bring your smile, and come and bring an open mind and be ready to talk, because we're gonna talk. And anywhere Jamaica is, she gonna get in your business. Just know.
All right, y'all. We are always here the third
always
Saturday. We are here the third Saturday of every month. Make sure you follow us on social media, but we are here the third Saturday of every month at but we'll let you know when we're getting on. Just be prepared to just keep watch around 4:15. We'll be on. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
4:30.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.